Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 699 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette. Here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Jennifer Page. And if you want to understand more about healthcare real estate, stay tuned for the next episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have Jennifer Page on with me. She's with a company called CARR, and I'll let her tell you all about that here in a moment. But we're going to cover some really cool topics today. One of those topics is chiropractic real estate. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't know what to do. They get themselves into bad situations. And I'm going to let her explain to you where she comes from and how she helps chiropractors. But she's also going to talk about how to get professional representation when it comes to getting a lease and selling, and what some problems might be if you try to do it yourself. But before we get into that conversation today about chiropractic real estate and chiropractic understanding of business modeling around it, I'm going to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. As I was mentioning to Jennifer before we went live today, I know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled and censored, and we'd never do that to you. We've never censored anybody. Every person we've interviewed has always been aired, unless there's a technical difficulty. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They are not the same things. If you need guidance on any of these topics, please reach out to a chiropractor in your neighborhood or your city. Philosophically sound, we do protect the sacred trust. It's BJ Palmer's last words. If you don't know what that means and you want to learn more about chiropractic, go to the show notes and click on BJ Palmer's sacred trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you previously did, I guarantee you. We do support subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say these things, but they're taking this language out of the colleges. So if you know a chiropractic student or a new grad that didn't get great philosophy, please share the show with them so they can understand what subluxation-based chiropractic is. We also believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. I know it sounds very woo-woo, but it connects the educated intelligence, which gives us who we are and who we become. So that's the Chiropractic Foundation. This is episode 699. This is Jennifer Page. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, James. Glad to be here.
Yeah, there's so much information that we need to get out to the public. And I was telling you that before we went live today, is why is it so important for us to have a brand that's global, that we've created a show that's a top 3% show within 3,300,000 podcasts out there? Well, because I believe that information in chiropractic is so darn important that if people knew about it, they would all be lined up around every chiropractic office, all open hours of every day, but it's not the case. So we have to do better. And I appreciate the work that you're doing. Let's just jump right in here and talk to people about what you're doing to help support chiropractors with their real estate.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm with a company called CARR, and we specialize in healthcare real estate. There's really two niches that we have. The first one is that we're specialized in healthcare. And so we have specialized training and understanding about how to represent chiropractors and other healthcare professionals. The other thing that makes us really unique is that we are what's called buyer tenant only. And that just basically means we only work for those people that are looking to either purchase real estate or to lease real estate. We never work for people that are selling or work for landlords. And that's really important for your audience because if they're in a situation where they're looking to open a new clinic or possibly purchase a location, they want to know that they're seeing everything in the market that's a good fit for them. And if you're working with an agent that also represents a landlord, there's going to be this inherent conflict of interest to push you or steer you towards properties that will put them in a good light with their landlord. So those two things are kind of what sets us apart. And the whole reason we got into healthcare real estate 15 years ago now is that our CEO just kept seeing over and over and over again healthcare professionals representing themselves on their negotiations and just totally getting taken advantage of. It's unfortunate, but I think a lot of times when people in the business world, see that you're a doctor, they see dollar signs, and there is kind of this stereotype that sometimes people in the healthcare profession aren't as savvy in business, and so they attempt to take advantage of those things. And so that whole idea is how we were born, and we exist to help healthcare professionals to not get taken advantage of and make sure that they can maximize their profitability in their practice and have a very healthy business.
Well, I think it's really cool. I really believe that having support, professional support within people's decision making is critical, because like you said, a lot of times people get into a situation that they don't know how to manage the right way, and they spend a time of 2 to 5 years working in a place that they might not own, that the conditions might not be the best for them, that things don't get repaired the way they're supposed to, or parking becomes an issue, or there's a big expense that's like on the building, like HVAC or something to that nature. Yeah. Parking becomes an issue because they get so busy. Like, there's a lot of things that need help when people are making these decisions. It's not just get a little strip center and pick a place and we're off to the races. There's a lot of things contractually. I've been in situations, even, doing chiropractic marketing, where the contract is really the deciding factor on how things like get played out and what it looks like 2 years down the road, or what it looks like 6 months down the road even. Yeah. So you said that earlier, you came from the dental part of the world, and you saw that the CARR company was helping in this healthcare community. And now you're seeing that you guys are helping with chiropractic in their real estate too. Let's just look at it from the perspective of a new grad or a new hire, or somebody that's coming out of school. What advice would you give to them in order to position themselves making better decisions like the ones I was just discussing?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I'm here to talk about real estate, but what we see a lot with students coming out of school, and I think it's getting better, but just what they need to do is just surround themselves with professionals that know how to help them. Whether it's a professional in real estate and healthcare, or a professional, CPA or wealth management advisor or whatever, just not going the DIY approach. It's okay that you don't have the answers to everything. Nobody expects you to. And the way you get better is by surrounding yourself with good people that can help you. And so, whatever area it is of business that you're considering or thinking about, just making sure you surround yourselves with, professionals that can help you.
So let's talk in real life, professional representation when you're helping somebody establish a lease. What does that look like?
Yeah, great question. Well, typically what it starts off as, especially if it's somebody that's new, like you talked about, a new graduate, right? It all starts with what kind of space do you need? What kind of space do you want? And what kind of space will your loan, your practice loan allow for, right? So there's going to be all these parameters that somebody has to work within. Once we have those things established, then our goal is really to kind of vision cast with the client and say, like, what part of town do you want to be in? Do you want to be in a retail area, or do you want to be, sit back in a business center? Like, what are the things that are important to you? We all have kind of our idea of where we think we always see chiropractors, but just because that's our perception doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right fit for everyone, right? So not making any presuppositions about that. And so once we kind of get the idea of their vision for their practice and what they're wanting to do, that's when our due diligence starts. So that's when we start online, like looking for places that could be a good fit for them, but it goes so much deeper than that. We drive the market of the area that they want to be in. We make phone calls to all the landlord reps that we know and work with, to find out, what do they have that's available. A lot of times there's things that are called pocket listings that aren't really available, but the landlord knows, hey, this space is coming available and I would love to have a healthcare tenant, right? So doing all of that research and gathering together the best possible options for our clients. And then that's really kind of the easiest part, like space finding, right? Like most people can do that. They can go online, they can Google it, they can drive the market, whatever. Once we find those locations and we take the doctor out and we, tour them, typically we're going to have them choose, their top 2, 3, or 4 options. And then that's when the hard work starts. That's when we start negotiating for them and making sure that we're protecting them moving forward.
Now, this is a different scenario.
Yeah.
Say somebody that comes into you because they're going to be watching this and they're going to be like, darn it, I'm stuck in something.
Yeah.
How do you help people renegotiate and get better terms for themselves?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple different things. First of all, we always want to see a copy of their lease, right? Because there may be something in that lease that allows them to get out before it actually expires. And we can't know that or don't know that until we can review the lease. If they're in a lease that's really locked up tight, right, and there's no way for them to get out, then what we do is we start game planning, right? And so we'll engage with them probably 18 months to 2 years before that expiration is out. And we run our whole game plan. So let's say you have, a doctor that comes to me 18 months out and he's like, hey, I really love this place, but there's some things that aren't working here for me. If I could just get this or that, right, to happen. And so what we do is we create options for them in the market. Typically, what most healthcare professionals are doing, they're waiting for their lease to get very close to expiration. They don't have a game plan. The landlord shows up with a new lease about 30 or 60 days out, and they're over a barrel at that point, right? Like they either signed the lease or they're homeless, right? No options. So what we're going to do is we're going to help them create options. We're going to take them to market. We're going to tour them on options in the area where they're working now, or maybe where they would consider opening a location. And then we're going to negotiate out those options. Once we get done with that, sometimes our doctors will go, you know what? I thought I wanted to stay here and renew for another 5, 10 years, but this is so enticing. Like, let's just pull the trigger on this. But let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say, we get through all the negotiation. They're like, I really still would like to make it work here if I could get some things settled. So at that point, we go to the landlord and we say, hey, landlord, we've been hired by Dr. Smith to evaluate if it makes sense for him to sign a new term here. We've been to market. We've negotiated on several really positive, enticing options, but we're willing to consider staying here. But this is kind of what we would expect to see. This is what we want it to look like if we were to sign a new lease here. So as you can see, that's a very different type of leverage than getting a copy of your next lease 30 days from expiration. So it's all about having options with a landlord. If they know that you can't or won't move, then you're not likely to get the best possible deal moving forward. And so that's a little peek behind the curtain about how we make that happen for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's timing and leverage. And I
Correct.
believe that there's a lot that comes into understanding the details and the fine details of, the agreement and the length of the agreement. And I know I've talked to plenty of chiropractors out there that they get into something and they feel trapped and they feel like, well, you guys aren't doing anything better for us. And we're going up by like 12% or 15%. And it's very easy for the person that holds the lease with that person in there to change these terms very quickly and easily to favor them.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things that need to be supported and helped. And that's a big part of revenue, your overhead. So if you can help control that better and make the terms better for the actual doctor that's inside that space, I think that's a big win for the chiropractic profession.
It's typically the second highest expense after payroll. And really the highest expense that's negotiable at any point in time, right? Once you hire somebody to manage your office or, receptionist, whatever, you're not renegotiating that salary, right? So it's the highest negotiable expense typically.
That's good to know. So let's talk option C now. Option C is somebody wants to sell.
Yeah.
How do you support a chiropractor on that journey?
Yeah. So like I said, CARR is buyer tenant only. So we don't take listings and we don't help them sell their buildings. But one way we do help often is because we are so ingrained in the healthcare community. If they're wanting to either sell their practice or sell their real estate, we often have relationships with people in the community that would probably be interested that we could bring to the table and introduce them. We just wouldn't represent them as the seller on that transaction.
Gotcha. Well, I think those are all really important things for people to understand is there's a wild, wild west out there still when it comes to how you negotiate where you put your business and the terms around where you set up shop and the long-term effects if you get into a bad deal or one that's just not favorable to you. And then you start looking at like the dollars in, dollars out. And then that's when people usually start feeling that like those red flag moments. They're like, what did I get myself into?
Right. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of doctors that look at their lease kind of like a lot of Americans look at a car payment, right? Like, it's like, can I cover the monthly nut? Yes or no? Okay, let's sign it, right? And unfortunately, there's so many things in a lease that can really damage your practice if you don't know to look for those things or to negotiate those things. And that's one of the reasons we're here too. Like, it's not just about the dollar. We want to get you the most competitive lease rate that we can, but we want to make sure you're protected in some of those other areas that you may not even know to look for.
So let's line item this thing out.
Okay.
What should they be looking for? And saving them from a do-it-yourself real estate nightmare.
Well, honestly, all they really need to look for is a professional to help represent them and then trust in them to protect them on those things. But some of those things are things like a relocation clause that you may not realize is in the fine print that you'd be signing away, where you can be relocated by the landlord. That may not sound like a big deal, but interrupting your business to move it could be a very big deal. And if you want retail visibility and you're in a center where it, maybe it goes like this and then wraps around the back and they're moving you from the front and center to the back corner, that's not a great option for you, right? So relocation is one. Having a renewal option is one that's really important. And that basically just says, when it's time for me to renew my lease, the landlord will allow me to renew it. A lot of people don't think about that, but if you're in a lease and you don't have a renewal option, it's not very likely, but it is possible, and I've seen it happen before, that when you get ready to renew your lease, the landlord can say, no, we're not going to renew this. We've got somebody with bigger, deeper pockets that wants your space, and you're going to have to go find somewhere else. That's a big problem, right? So that's another one. And there's several others, but like I said, that's what we're here to look for, is to make sure none of those things get by the doctor and that they're protected in those areas.
Well, I look at it this similar to working with a company like yours is similar to working with somebody like myself, is you pay what you get, and it's better to pay once and know that you're working with a professional than to try to save money. And I always use the phraseology, pay the most and cry once.
Well, you know what? The best part of what we offer is that we don't cost them anything. We're a free service. And a lot of times people go, wait, that makes no sense. Like, how can you save me tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars and not cost me anything? Well, if you think about it, If you've ever bought a home and you worked with a real estate agent, you didn't pay that agent to drive you around town and show you homes. The way they got paid was by the seller when you purchased the home. So it works the same way in commercial real estate, whether you're leasing or purchasing a building, the landlord or the seller has set aside a certain amount of money that is for commissions. If you come unrepresented, then their agent just gets all of that commission. But if you come represented, then your agent negotiates their portion of that commission with their agent. So you don't stand to gain anything by coming unrepresented other than getting taken advantage of.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that come into, like you said, I have a personal friend that what happened is bigger pockets came in.
Yep.
And then forced them out of their lease. And then they put them into a position where they had to get a new spot in the same center that wasn't favorable to them, where they had to like move their x-ray equipment, move their decompression unit, and having those things like moved is expensive. And taking, just for instance, the letterhead off your business cards and your email address and everything and transferring it to another suite or another location, what a hassle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's a big problem. And he's not the first person that I've had in my life that this has happened to.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And just your clients that come all the time, right? They pull up, you're not there. Like, hopefully they'll call and figure out where you are. But you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many pitfalls to that.
Well, there's a lot of bullying going on in that type of contract negotiation.
Yes.
And they can just force people to go and leave where they've established based on somebody else coming in with a bigger bank account.
Right.
And, you know, I think that that's also unfortunate, but if they work with a group like yours, they can feel secure that when it comes to the renewal or the renegotiation, that they have somebody out there that's going to help them do the right thing and to make sure
fighting the bullies. We love fighting the bullies. Like, and it's nice to be at arm's length from that, right? Like, just stand back over here. I'm going to fight for you. And sometimes it's easier to fight for somebody else than it is for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, as I looked at your bio that you sent over to me, it says one of the things that you help is healthcare franchises. How does that coincide with the chiropractic world? Are you working with healthcare franchises within chiropractic also?
Yes, we are. We have several. Some of the largest ones actually in chiropractic. And so I oversee our national accounts division. So that includes like healthcare organizations that are multi-site as well as franchises. And yeah, it's been our honor to work with those folks. They're typically assigned an account manager. So the people at corporate have a single point of contact to talk about, hey, what's going on with franchisee in Alabama, and what about Tennessee, and what about Florida, right? But yet each of our agents in those local markets can hold the hand of the franchisee all the way, you know, helping them through that entire process.
That's cool. So if they were to go out there and acquire another location, you would help them transition into that new acquired location and create the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it really helps, I don't know how much you work with chiropractic franchises, but it really helps kind of hold the hand of the franchisor, because they've got certain brand standards that their franchisees have to follow, when they're opening a new clinic and stuff. And layering us in can really be helpful, because we learn what all those do's and don'ts are. And since we're there on the ground with them and helping them every step of the way, we can be another set of eyes just to make sure that everything goes okay from the franchisor's perspective as well.
Well, we do have two amazing sponsors on our show. One is Bridge Financial, that helps people sell their practices, which I think would be a great resource for you guys to be connected into. And 100% Chiropractic is one of our sponsors as well. And I think it's really cool to see that there are many hands out there making lighter work for people to actually build their businesses and do what they do best. And that's take care of people.
That's right.
I think that if people wanted to learn marketing, they could go to school for marketing, or they could hire a professional. I think if people were looking to do contract negotiations and make that the most important part of their life, hey, they can do that, or they can hire professionals like you guys.
Right.
And I think there's just so much synergy out there that wants to help this profession do better and help more people. And I think it's really great that you guys have a system out there and a strategy out there that helps, like you said, manage one of the most negotiable expenses that they have as a line item that's going to be a part of their existence from the day they open door to the day they go to the next thing or transition to the next thing. So I think it's really cool that they have you as a resource.
Thank you. We love it. We really do. It's kind of like one of you almost said it just then, is our tagline is helping people who help people. And that's kind of what you do too. Like, that's our passion.
Yeah. So over your time of doing this work, is there any one case that you'd like to share with our audience today that you saw that you've made an impact with? Maybe you would consider it a miracle story?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot here, James. There's been so many really cool stories. I think one was early on in my career working with a healthcare group that had been doing it on their own, had been trying to get this deal across the finish line on their own and weren't having success. We got brought in and we kind of took over the negotiation and ran our whole process. And when we finally finished out and we could look at like where they were versus where we were able to get them. Now, this was a long-term lease. We're talking 10 years. So you got to think about, the span of that amount of time. But we were able to save them over $300,000 over the course of that 10 years. And it's stuff like that. That's like, it can be the difference between your practice going under or your practice thriving. Right. And so that's the story for me that comes to mind when people ask that question.
Well, I just think that it's important for people to see like worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, and how people actually come out of working with a group like yourself. Like, I think that there's a lot that people are going to learn about the real estate market. And there's a lot of things that obviously people are going to make contracts in their favor every time. 100%. So it's important to have somebody that will like help balance that out to where just the person that holds that real estate, it's not the only person winning within that transaction.
Level the playing field.
Yeah. And I think it's important for chiropractors to have somebody out there that's going to, go to bat on their behalf to help them negotiate the best terms. Yeah. And most people, just like the person looking for chiropractic, they just don't know where to go or who to trust.
That's right. And one thing that I've noticed with the chiropractors that I've met and I've worked with, and I'm sure this is not completely across the board, but it seems like the personality of most of these doctors is very trusting, very kind, kind of tenderhearted people, and the ones that I've represented have had a really hard time going toe to toe with some of these savvy business people, and so it's been an honor really just to kind of step in and help those folks because they're just such a great group of people.
Well, chiropractic is a healing art.
Yeah.
And it's not so much a business art.
Right.
So they don't teach them much business in school, in college. And if they don't come into the profession with the fundamentals in business, which most don't. They come out of college with no fundamentals in business.
Yeah.
And they just have check the box. We need a place to go practice.
Yeah. And you know what? They're not alone in that. They're not the only healthcare professional that doesn't get training in school. In fact, I've not seen one yet that gets a lot of training in school. So,
well, that's just it. Is one of the questions I ask during our typical episodes is, who are some of your mentors who's helped you get to where you are today? And the people that had good business mentors have better careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
kind of
that's
like what you said, they stay in their lane. They focus on being a good doctor and surround themselves with the professionals and the experts in the other areas they need. Yep.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Maybe just a little bit about timing. So if you're thinking about opening a new location, and leasing is kind of like your option, the route you think you want to go, you probably need to start talking to a professional, 12 to 18 months before you want to be doors open, seeing your first patient. If you think you want to build, we probably need closer to 24 months if you want to purchase land and build a building. And then if you're in a lease scenario, every lease is coming to an end at some point. So know when that is. And you probably want to reach out about 18 months prior to your lease expiration. Now, one thing, if they don't want to have to go figure all that out right now, they can contact CARR. They can send us their lease. We'll evaluate it and put a tickler in our system to say, hey, we need to reach out to Dr. Jones, in 2.5 years, because that'll be the time to start negotiating his renewal. We can take that on as well. But just keeping those timelines in mind, and don't let it slip up on you, because there isn't going to be anybody that's warning you. Like, the landlord's not going to go ring a bell for you and say, hey, start thinking about this. It's about 18 months out. They're just going to sit quietly by. So make sure you got somebody that's keeping up with that, whether it's you or a professional like me or my team.
Yeah, it's not like you need your oil changed in 3,000 miles, and if you don't change it, it's going to be fine.
Right.
If the day comes and you didn't renew, you're at the mercy of what happens. And I think that's the writings on the wall or in the contract. So if people wanted to reach out to you and work with you, where do we send them to?
The easiest place for them to go is carr.us. So that's CARR.us, like United States. That takes them to our website. And in the top right-hand corner, it says find an agent. And you can scroll down to your state, find your city, and call your agent or email them straight from there. If they want to reach out to me, happy to talk to them as well. I'm Jennifer, JENNIFER.page, PAGE, like page in a book, at carr.us. I can always connect them with the right person as well. But that's probably the easiest way.
Great. Well, I'm thankful that you took time to share with us about CARR, and that you are very interested in helping chiropractors with their business modeling of lease and negotiations and making sure that they don't do it themselves and get into a bad situation. If you guys want to work with Jennifer Page and her team, Colin CARR, go to CARR, that's CARR.us, and find an agent and see how they can help you support your decision-making moving forward with real estate and all things health franchise and stuff of that nature. So Jennifer, thanks for being on with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And it was very informative to me also. And
Right.
I learned from every episode that we do, and you were 699 of the Chiro
I love
Hustle
it.
Podcast. Yeah.
I love it. It's a good number.
And this was Jennifer Page on with us today. And I'll just close out like I always do. And I say, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.